Wings, the makers of all aluminum foil breakfast flakes, and Gamma O's, the radioactive breakfast food, presents the continuing adventures of Nutman, insane superhero. Nutman, at one time a mild-mannered law researcher named Benny Oblique. Yes, Nutman inadvertently devoted his life to crime prevention one afternoon by going crazy in a restaurant while eating a plate of mostaccioli. Some say it was the stress of the injustices he saw every day at work. Some say it was in reaction to the mass apathy he saw all around him. Some say it might even have been the food. But for whatever reason, Mr. Oblique suddenly and completely lost all of his senses and fell, as they say, senseless to the floor. And then a curious trade took place, for even as his wits departed, he took on a strange and powerful new sense. The ability to sense somehow where and when a crime or catastrophe was about to take place. And soon Nutman was fouling up 3 or 4 crimes a day. And for months, the urban landscape reverberated with the shouts, curses, and mutterings of would-be criminals. And now, Nutman meets the Nightcrawler. And Nutman does it again. And that's it for tonight's news. Good night. Well, that's a wrap, crew. What's that? How long have I known Nutman? Huh. Nutman. Nobody really knows Nutman. I've seen him twice. I remember the first time. I was a cub reporter. I remember it as if it were yesterday. All across Blank City, a rash of curious crimes and pranks broke out. Hundreds of complaints poured into police headquarters. Suddenly, shoelaces, mud flaps, and license plates were being reported stolen. Frantic citizens called to say they'd been given the hot foot or had their shoelaces tied together. These heinous crimes brought Blank City to a standstill. The public outcry rocked City Hall. The mayor made speeches, the police chief made promises, the media and the press terrorized them both. Meanwhile, the people cried out for action as they tripped and fell. The baffled police chief, in a last-ditch effort to solve the mystery, called upon Nutman, insane superhero. The official position on Nutman until then was that of irritated tolerance. Oh, his activities were monitored, but he was generally considered harmless. On the streets, however, the mood was an odd mixture of controversy and apathy. Some thought Nutman a hero. To others, he was a nuisance. But to the majority, he was just as unreal as Indiana Jones, Crystal Carrington, or Dan Rather. Nutman had fouled up more than a few crimes and had stepped on a lot of toes in the process. But now, to friend and foe alike, the intrepid Nutman was their last hope. So, you're Nutman. Hey. So listen, I don't care what you wear, I need your help. All of Blank City has come to a standstill. I can't figure out this rash of crimes. People are calling in all the time. They're saying that they're missing manhole covers in their streets. The shoelaces are being tied together. And people are getting hotfoots. That's right. Everybody's afraid to go outside, and the mayor's after my head. Yes. You've got to do something, Nutman. You've got to do something. You've got to help us. Yes. Everybody's afraid to go outside. Everybody's staying inside, glued to their TVs. Uh-oh. Yes? Yes. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Yes, of course. I will. Yes, no, I won't. I won't worry. I will worry, yes. I'm doing my best. I'm guarantee you that we'll have results before the day is out. Goodbye, Your Honor. That was the mayor. And I'm in big trouble, Nutman. You've got to help me. Listen. I want you to go out and find the culprit who's perpetrating all of these crimes. That's right. Yes. It's your civic duty. It's your civic duty, Nutman, to go out and find this criminal. Of course, officially, we will deny any cooperation with you. You understand, of course. Nutman didn't, of course. All he wanted was a badge. As he walked the midnight shadows of Blank City, the nut-sense gizmo in his head suddenly went off. It told him some crime or catastrophe would take place, and right where he was standing. The signal was unmistakable. Something was about to happen. Suddenly, something brushed past his trouser leg. And then again from the other direction. Nutman felt a wave of the heebie-jeebies. A cold, swampy chill went up his spine. Nutman was baffled. As he tried to unreason it, something was happening down below at sidewalk level. A sinister character was making his third approach on Nutman. Yes, this was the fiendish criminal responsible for all those way below average height crimes. Yes, the whisper started weeks ago along the waterfront of Blank City. There was a new force to be dealt with, a criminal mind so debased that other crooks shied away at the very mention of his name. Even hardened criminals spelled out his name letter by letter. For this was the Nightcrawler, and the moniker fit. For the Nightcrawler traveled the underworld and alleyways by slithering and undulating like a giant worm. The Nightcrawler began his days as an orphan, working in the basement of the Acme worm cutting plant, cutting worms in half to increase the inventory. He had spent his entire life on his belly. All he knew were worms. One day, some paint chipped off the basement window and he saw the outside world for the first time. This experience filled him with bitterness and resentment. He devoted his life to making everybody pay for this injustice. He styled himself after the only role models he ever had, the Worms. He started by organizing a street gang called the Insane Worm Kings, but the other gang members quickly grew tired of crawling around on their bellies all night. Further, he descended to the level of a slimy, uncommon criminal specializing in below-the-knee crimes. And now, he was about to administer the old hotfoot prank to Nutman. Unfortunately for Nutman, he was afraid of worms. He had a bad case of anelatophobia. And as they fought, the worm turned, and it looked bad for Nutman until he channeled all of his energy into one last effort. His body quaked, his squawk rumbled, then grew steadily in pitch as he leaped into the air and he shouted, "What are you, a man or a worm?" This outburst was not so much an insult as a genuine need for information. For if this creature was a man, Nutman would have nothing to fear. But if it were a worm, he was in big trouble. This question cracked through something in the Nightcrawler's mind like a thunderbolt, for he never really thought about it all that much. Then Nutman reached down and grabbed the stunned slitherer and stood him on his feet. And there he was, standing up for the first time and looking around. Was he a man or a worm? And as he gazed out over the horizon, he pondered this question. And then suddenly, he knew. And as a direct consequence of this realization, the Nightcrawler went on to become one of this nation's most upstanding politicians. The crimes mysteriously stopped, and the citizens went back to their lives. The mayor was reelected, and the police chief took all the credit. And being swept away by all the publicity, he forgot about Nutman. Insane superhero! So that's the first time I heard of Nutman. Nutman. Crazy. The rest of the story? Well, you know it as well as I do.